Greetings everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey. I am from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com, and today I want to talk about a different lawsuit. There's not a lot happening in the H3 lawsuit and some of the other cases we're following closely, so not much to talk about there. But there is another lawsuit out there that depending upon how it shakes out, if it reaches the courts, could have a major impact on YouTube, especially when using openly sourced and openly licensed images. But B is just one of the most bizarre, unusual, and strange copyright cases I've followed in the past 10 years that I've been dealing with copyright litigation and copyright law. So I think this one's worth exploring at least a little bit, and it is the tale of a photographer named Carol Highsmith. Now, I'm going to put some of her photos up for you to look at, just a small handful of them. Carol Highsmith is a photographer that's pretty well known and pretty well established in photography circles. She's been doing it professionally for over 30 years. She's been in over 50 books, and she's written introductions. She's, like I said, she's done it all, basically, is what it comes down to. And one of the things that she does is every year since 1988, basically 28 years ago as of this recording, she's donated images to the Library of Congress to be placed in the public domain. And so far she has put thousands and thousands of images, including the ones you're looking at. Basically, if I wanted to, I can make this entire video just me talking over an endless array of her images because they're in the public domain, and that is entirely my right. But I'm not going to do that. We'll come back here and talk about this case. Now, she also runs a charity called the America Foundation, and they have a website, and they use some of her photos on that website, as you might expect. Well, you might not expect what happened next when the America Foundation received this letter right here. It is from License Compliance Services, Inc., and they sent it on behalf of Alamy, which I believe is which my understanding at least, is that they are a stock photo agency that's sort of a subsidiary of Getty Images. So we're going to get to all this. But long and short of it is, they're saying that she is using her own photos without permission. And you might be saying to yourself, well, wait a minute, these were public domain photos. Look, I put them up again, public domain photos, I can do it all I want. Yeah, they are. So what the heck is Alamy doing licensing them, and what the heck are they doing trying to enforce that license? Well, those are two very, very damn good questions, and Carol herself was pretty interested in answering them as well. So she ended up filing this. Now, this is a lawsuit against Getty Images, License Compliance Services, PicScout. PicScout, by the way, is the agency that was responsible for the detection of the images. And PicScout also is currently owned by Getty Images. And, of course, Alamy and unnamed John Doe's, which you pretty much always include in these types of cases. Now, the issue here is that she is accusing Getty Images and their subsidiaries of unlawfully using her photos. But this creates something of a problem. I just told you she licensed them in the public domain. And here's the thing. You can make commercial use of public domain documents. Here, we're in mid to late September right now. Go to your local store where if they sell DVDs, and I bet you'll find something like this. This is a collection of 10 horror movies, and it includes such greats as Dementia 13, House on Haunted Hill, Night of the Living Dead, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, public domain films. Now, I bought this for like $5 or something like that a few years back, and I've probably got 20 similar collections downstairs. It was just the first one I grabbed. But the long and short is, you're allowed to make commercial use of public domain images. That's kind of what public domain means. But licensing it to third parties typically isn't something you do. You sell prints. You create derivative works based upon them. You don't license it to third parties. That's just weird. And certainly a lot of people believe that those who bought this license from Getty might have a complaint. But what about Carol, whose work is the one being used? Tough question. Now, I'll summarize the entire lawsuit real fast. She's actually suing for 4 different things. The first is copyright infringement, but she's not suing for what we would think of as like vanilla copyright infringement. She's not suing saying, hey, you guys copied my work without permission. Once again, it's public domain. Instead, she is suing for the violation, alteration, or removal of copyright management information, as it's known. Now, this is something from the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and basically what it means is that if I have some kind of copyright management information that can include the title of the photo, it can include the title of the work, actually not just the photo, title of the work, the licensee of the work, the author, etc. All this information considered copyright management information. Deliberately tampering, altering, or removing it is a violation of the law, separate from traditional, just regular good old copyright infringement. In fact, and this is just an interesting piece of trivia, if you do not have your work registered with the Copyright Office, you can still sue for the removal of copyright management information, or CMI. So that is the primary copyright angle she is taking with it. She's also suing for a violation of the Lanham Act, which basically is saying that Getty Images is making a claim that she's associated with them in a way that she's not. She's also claiming for violation of New York business laws and unfair competition, claims that routinely go side by side with copyright claims. Now, the problem with this, as you might have already guessed, is that the photos are in the public domain. She has already surrendered all rights to them. And Getty Images, in its motion to dismiss, which was recently filed, has basically said exactly that Carol dismissed all these rights, has given up the opportunity to sue or to deal with these issues because she dedicated them to the public domain. But doesn't this seem a little weird to you that Getty Images is allowed, and even after being notified that, hey, these are not your photos, these are public domain images, they continued to license them? Stop and think about that a second. Yes, they dropped the case, and this is just backtracking for a moment. When Carol approached Getty Images and say, hey, what the heck, these are my photos, I'm licensed in the public domain, what are you doing? They said, okay, yeah, we're dropping the case, but they continued to license and sell it. This raises a lot of potentially interesting questions now, and a lot of them are for YouTube. Because, you see, I'm very dependent upon public domain licensed photos. On this and other videos I've done, I find public domain images on sites like Pixabay and Pexels and other places to do my thumbnails, to display on the site as illustrations, and so on and so forth. So I'm very dependent upon these images, and the idea that Getty Images could step in and try to claim that I owe them money for a license for a public domain photo is worrisome, and it should worry YouTubers too. So this is definitely going to be a case to watch. Now, right now, we're just at the motion to dismiss, and actually we're just at Getty's motion to dismiss. Their motion to dismiss was actually pretty interesting because they only moved to dismiss the accounts that directly impacted them, not Alame, not PicScout, not anyone, even though those were technically their subsidiary companies. They did not move to dismiss those, so I guess we'll have more motions to dismiss coming. But yes, on the copyright issue, the main point is basically that, yeah, she surrendered her rights. So what happens next? Well, can someone who was ordered or requested to pay a fee for the photo come after them? Will there be a possible class action against them like we saw with the Happy Birthday to You case? I don't have a good answer to that. But I know that, to me at least, this doesn't feel right, and something is going to have to change here. Otherwise, we could see this relicensing, or this big drive to collect revenue from public domain photos and other public domain works when they're being used completely legally if something doesn't step in and stop it. And like I said, here on YouTube, we're very dependent upon public domain images, video, audio, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, that could be very worrisome down the line. Anyways, just some stuff to think about. I'll keep following this case, and if there's interest, I'll provide updates to it as we go. If you've got questions, put them in the comments. I will do my best to respond to them. I do try to respond to comments. Like I said, if things don't get too crazy, I will gladly do that. But on that note, everyone, thank you very much for spending the past 10 minutes or so with me. I appreciate the time, and until next time, this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.